How you doing, everybody, and welcome back for another video. I'm Jerry Aliberti, owner of Pro-Accel. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking about why it's super important to identify risks before starting construction on a project, specifically in the pre-construction stage, estimating and project kickoff. So we'll discuss why knowing these risks before submitting a bid is crucial and how a solid project kickoff can help reduce these risks. So let's dive in. Why identify risks before construction starts? Identifying risks before construction helps avoid costly delays and complications, ensuring that the project stays on track and within the budget, right? We're all here to make money. By spotting risks early, your team can save time, money, and many headaches down the road. A lot of fire drills are happening on project sites because nobody took the time to plan for risks and things that could potentially go wrong. So risks to determine before bid submission. Now I have a list, but this is a very general list. Your specific niche is probably going to have another list of risks associated for it as well. This is why it's important to have a strategy, a re-established strategy for your business every single year, which I have separate videos for as well. You need to really understand what your strengths and your weaknesses are inside of your organization. If you're diversifying, that's going to bring another set of risks as well. So I'm going to keep it general. One is weather. Are you a concrete contractor who relies heavily on outside weather? Are you going to be outside? Are you going to be inside? Weather can really delay a construction project. Are you an asphalt paver? So there's specific times of the year that you can really kick butt on projects, and those other times of the year, there's going to be risk associated. For example, the cash flow that you're going to lose. Another risk is if there's a lot of pre-bid RFIs. Now this can go both ways. If there's a lot of pre-bid RFIs, it's probably because the original design of the project was not well put together. This is going to lead to a lot of chaos and a lot of fire drills down the line, especially if the GC, the owner, or the project team is not well organized or well planned or isn't doing great communication with their scheduling as well. Now, the reason why I say a lot of RFIs can go both ways is I've also been a part of projects where a lot of RFIs open up a lot of opportunity for a lot of change orders. Now, again, it requires a really good team to understand what a change order is and how to identify a change order and how to follow up on a change order and get paid for the full amount. It requires a little bit of a salesperson as well to be really good in this process as well. So a lot of RFIs can raise a red flag telling you that there's probably going to be a lot of chaos on that project. You need to determine who you're giving your bids to. If they're going to be able to really understand that, that's why it's really good to have a really good proposal as well, which I have separate videos as well. If there's a lot of RFIs, you're probably going to get hit with a lot of change orders, which may give, if you're doing it well, may give you a great opportunity to make more money on the bid. Next, material inflation and scarcity. I always push to have at least a simple schedule put together in the pre-construction process. Not a lot of owners require schedules, but you should have a simple schedule. If you're a sub, ask the GC to give you a schedule. You need to understand what what materials you need that have long lead times. If they have a long lead time, is there maybe an additional cost that you need to add in the pre-bid to expedite that? Everybody's busy these days. I'm recording this video in early 2024. I speak to vendors all the time. They have a backlog for 12 plus months out. You are going to be added to the back of that list. Call them up, see if you need to pay them for a premium to bring you to the top of the list. Another thing that you need to understand when it comes to risk. What are your budget busters? To me, the biggest budget busters are scope creep, change orders, which I already explained. I'm not going to dive deep into that again, and rework. Rework accounts for a lot of lost profits on projects. I mean, I know contractors where their entire profit margin was lost on rework. How do you prevent rework? How do you prevent scope creep? Is by really good communication. is by really laying out the expectations for your project teams, your field engineers, your foremen, to really understand, hey, today and tomorrow, this is what's part of the scope. If you're in this particular situation, we need to submit a change order if that's what the owner wants. Now that is post pre-construction. That's your construction stage. For the sake of this video, we're talking about pre-construction. You need to look back at your jobs. You need to understand the logistics in the area you're working. Maybe bring in some people who are in that particular area in the past. Understand what GC, what owners you're working for, and understand if there's a cost on the pre-construction stage for project scope creep and rework. This becomes a little bit difficult because if you keep adding cost to your bid, then you're not going to get any bids, right? But it's definitely an important topic that you need to pay attention to. Your schedule. Schedules are becoming tighter than ever. So if the GC or the owner is telling you you have 12 months to complete your scope of work and you're like, no way, I'm going to need at least 14, 16 months to complete this work. What's the premium time associated with it? Again, I mentioned it before. This is why schedules pre-construction, whether the owner wants it or not, is really, really important, because you need to understand how much premium time you need to put into the bid. Are you working weekends? Are you working double shifts? Are you working Saturday at time and a half? Maybe you're working Sundays at double time. Who's the owner and the GC? So I briefly talked about this before, but understanding who you're working for is really important. Now, in the perfect world, you would break down who your potential clients are, the owners and the GCs, into different priority tiers, which I'll have separate videos for as well. If you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see tons of posts about this as well. But it's really important to understand who you're working for. Are they decision makers? Do they have great teams themselves? You can't always be so picky on the work. You need to grab the work while it's while it's in front of you. You know, everybody says, oh, in 12 months, all this work's going to come out. I mean, anything can change in the next couple of months. So you need to understand who you're bidding for and understand what their reputation in the market is, because there's going to be a cost to this. Project site location and means of egress. What are your work hours? Are you actually able to work 8 hours? Or are you only working 6, 7 hours? If that's the case, then your direct cost and your estimates should reflect that production as well. I have separate videos for direct and indirect costs as well and how it relates to this. Do you have limited access? And what's the cost to that? You know, if you're a commercial contractor and you need to share a crane with other trades, how much access to that crane do you have? What's your reputation? What's the basis of your reputation with this particular contractor? Have they stuck it to you in the past where now you know that you're going to be losing some productions? Again, adding all this cost to your bids is not how you're going to get a bid, but understanding exactly what your risks are going into a bid is going to increase your awareness, and it's going to increase your confidence in the bid as well. Another thing that you need to understand is that each trade has its own risks. And again, for the sake of this short video, I try to stay as general as possible. So what helps you plan for a risk post-bid? You got to have a great project kickoff. I talk about this all the time. You can't just take an estimate and hand off the estimate to the project managers. One, they're probably going to mess up your purchase orders. They're probably going to mess up your contracts because they don't understand what your assumptions were. Your estimators need to really sit down with the PMs, need to go through all your budgets and also the risk. What were the assumptions made at the pre-construction stage? At this point, at the project kickoff, your estimators know a lot more about that project than your project managers do. So it's really good that your project managers have enough information at the pre-construction level to really understand what they need to be accounting for later on as they're doing their purchase orders, if that's how you're set up, as they're doing their contracts. What lead times, what lead items are going to be a major problem on this project, right? So in addition to all your paperwork submittals and everything else that goes with getting a project going, you need to really understand your risks. You need to start sitting down with the owners, the owner rep, the GCs, whoever you're subbing out to, and talk about the risks that you know 6 months, 12 months ahead of time. So I hope this video helped. I would love to see you guys comment on these videos. Tell me what your thoughts were. any possible ideas for future videos, like it and subscribe. Until the next video.